I stood in my office at 3 in the afternoon on a Thursday, surrounded by my team's congratulations about closing the Westfield account, a $300 million client I spent 18 months courting. The CEO's daughter, Amanda, walked in without knocking. "Pack your desk. We'll handle the clients ourselves." My assistant gasped. The room went silent. My hand froze on my coffee cup. Amanda smirked, tossing a termination letter onto my desk. "Effective immediately. Security will escort you out in 20 minutes. My heart pounded as I realized what was happening. 20 minutes later, I walked through the halls of Thompson & Associates with a cardboard box in my hands and a security guard at my side. Tom, the guard, kept apologizing under his breath. "I'm sorry, Nicole. I don't know what this is about." I could barely hear him over the sound of my own heartbeat. Colleagues stared from their cubicles as I passed. Some looked away quickly. Others just watched with their mouths hanging open. Through the glass wall of the conference room, I could see Amanda on her phone, laughing. Actually laughing. I had been with this company for 7 years. 7 years of late nights, missed birthdays, skipped vacations. I started as a junior account manager right out of graduate school, buried in student debt and desperate to prove myself. I worked my way up to senior vice president of client relations through nothing but effort and results. Every promotion I earned, every client I landed through my own networking, my own pitches, my own blood and sweat. I was 32 years old. Single. Living alone in a tiny apartment in downtown Seattle, where the rent ate half my paycheck. I still had student loans hanging over me like a dark cloud. My mother was in assisted living across town, and I helped cover her costs every month because her Social Security barely stretched far enough. This job was not just my career. It was my entire financial foundation. It was everything. And now it was gone. At 3:20, Tom escorted me to the parking garage. My key card would not work anymore. I had to surrender my company phone, my laptop, all my access credentials. Amanda had already changed every password in the system. My direct reports, Sarah, Jessica, Brandon, had started texting my personal phone, asking what happened, but I could not even think about how to respond. By 3:30, a company-wide email went out. I saw it on my personal phone before I even got to my car. Nicole Williams is no longer with the company. All her accounts will be redistributed. Redistributed. Like I was nothing. Like 18 months of work on Westfield meant nothing. I sat in my car in the parking garage for I don't know how long. The concrete walls felt like they were closing in. My hands were shaking. I opened my personal email and started scrolling through old messages, looking for anything, though I was not sure what. That's when I saw it. The employment contract I signed 7 years ago. I had forwarded it to my personal email back then, just to keep a copy for my records. I opened the document and started reading through the legal language, and then I found it. Clause 7.3. Any account executive who personally sources and closes a client contract exceeding $50 million retains exclusive representation rights for 18 months post-closing, regardless of employment status. My heart stopped. Then it started racing. The Westfield contract was worth $300 million. I had closed it just 6 days ago, and I had personally sourced it. I met Jonathan Westfield, their CFO, at the Pacific Northwest Marketing Summit 18 months ago. I had every email, every meeting note, every pitch deck with my name on it. The trade show badge was still in my desk drawer at home. This clause meant I owned the Westfield relationship, not Thompson & Associates. Me. I drove home in a daze. My apartment felt too quiet. I dug through my filing cabinet until I found every document related to Westfield. Everything was there. The first email exchange, the lunch meeting notes, the proposal drafts. My fingerprints were all over this deal. At 9 that night, I composed an email to Gerald Thompson, the CEO and Amanda's father. I kept it professional and straightforward. I referenced clause 7.3. I stated that I would need to be involved in all Westfield communications going forward. I offered to contract as an independent consultant. I hit send and then sat back, waiting. No response came. By 11:45, I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, when my personal phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. "You think you're clever?" It was Amanda. Her voice was sharp, angry. "That clause doesn't apply. Our lawyers will prove you breached your fiduciary duty. Also, I've already emailed Westfield telling them you were terminated for gross misconduct. They know you're unstable. Don't embarrass yourself." She hung up before I could respond. My stomach dropped. She had already contacted Westfield. She was poisoning the relationship before I could even act. I tried calling Jonathan Westfield's cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. It was almost midnight. Too late to reach anyone who could help me. I did not sleep. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, reviewing every document I had, trying to figure out my next move. The hours crawled by. 3 a.m, 3:30, 3:45. At 3:59, my email notification chimed. The sender was Robert Hayes, corporate counsel for Westfield Corporation. The subject line read, "Breach of contract, Thompson and Associates." My hands were shaking as I opened it. The email was addressed to Thompson's entire board of directors. I was not on the CC list, but Robert had forwarded it to me separately with a short note. "Thought you should see this." I read the email 3 times before my brain could process what it said. Westfield's lawyer stated that, per their contract with Thompson and Associates, I had been designated as the sole point of contact for all matters related to their account. Any personnel changes required written notification 30 days in advance. Thompson had violated this by removing me without notice. Westfield considered this a material breach of contract. They were invoking the termination clause. The $300 million contract was void unless I was reinstated within 48 hours. I sat back in my chair, stunned. I had not known about this clause in the Westfield contract. I must have negotiated it during one of our meetings. Or maybe their lawyers added it as a protection. Either way, it was there. It was real. And it gave me leverage. But I was also terrified. This was about to explode in ways I could not control. I woke up at 6 a.m. to 37 missed calls. Most were from numbers I did not recognize, but 3 were from Gerald Thompson's executive assistant. The voicemail was terse. "Miss Williams, Mr. Thompson requests your presence at an emergency board meeting at 8 this morning. Please confirm your attendance." I had 90 minutes to shower, get dressed, and prepare myself for whatever was about to happen. I put on my best suit, the navy one I wore to close the Westfield deal. I printed every document I had, every email, every contract clause. I put it all in a leather portfolio and drove back to Thompson and Associates. The boardroom was on the top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Elliott Bay. A long mahogany table surrounded by leather chairs. When I walked in at 7:58, everyone was already there. Gerald Thompson sat at the head of the table. He was in his early 60s, silver hair, expensive suit. He had built this company from nothing 30 years ago. Next to him sat Amanda, arms crossed, glaring at me. 3 external board members sat along the sides. Craig, a venture capitalist in his 50s. Helen, a former marketing executive in her 60s. And Dorothy, a corporate attorney, in her 40s. The company's lead counsel, Lawrence Flynn, sat next to Amanda with a stack of folders in front of him. I sat alone on the opposite side of the table. Gerald started with what sounded like a rehearsed speech. "Nicole, we appreciate your contributions to this company over the years. However, your termination was justified based on performance issues and cultural fit. We're prepared to offer a severance package if you'll sign an NDA and non-compete agreement." He slid a document across the table. I glanced at it. 6-month salary. $75,000. In exchange, I would walk away from everything and never speak about what happened. I decline, I said. Gerald's jaw tightened. Nicole, be reasonable. I opened my portfolio and pulled out my employment contract. Clause 7.3. I personally sourced and closed the Westfield account. According to this clause, I retain exclusive representation rights for 18 months, regardless of my employment status. I have documentation proving I sourced this client myself. I laid out the evidence. The conference badge. The first email exchange. The meeting notes. Everything. Amanda leaned forward. She's lying. I introduced her to their VP of marketing at a charity gala. I made that connection. That was for a different division, I said calmly. I met Jonathan Westfield at the Pacific Northwest Marketing Summit. I have the proof right here. She stole proprietary information. Amanda shot back. She used company resources for personal gain. Lawrence Flynn, the company lawyer, cleared his throat. Miss Williams, if you attempt to interfere with company business, we will sue you for tortious interference, theft of trade secrets, and breach of fiduciary duty. You'll spend the next 5 years in litigation. We have resources. Do you? His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I had maybe $15,000 in savings. I could not afford a prolonged legal battle. He knew it. They all knew it. Helen, one of the board members, spoke up. We have 48 hours to resolve this, or we lose Westfield. That's $300 million. We need a solution. Gerald leaned back in his chair. Nicole comes back as an independent contractor. 6-month contract. $100,000. She manages the Westfield transition. Then it's over. I was about to respond when Amanda exploded. Absolutely not. She's trying to extort this company. Dad, you're letting her manipulate you. Amanda stood up and stormed out of the room. The door slammed behind her. Gerald called for a recess. I sat in the lobby for 45 minutes, watching employees walk past, wondering what was being said behind closed doors. When I was called back in, everything had changed. Gerald's face was hard, cold. We've decided to contest the Westfield contract clause, he said. Our lawyers believe it's unenforceable. You're not getting a consulting contract. Furthermore, we're filing an injunction to prevent you from contacting Westfield directly. See you in court. I could not believe what I was hearing. You'd rather lose $300 million than work with me? We'll convince Westfield you're unstable, Gerald said. We'll replace you. They'll stay. The meeting was over. I was escorted out again. I sat in my car in the parking garage, trying to catch my breath. My phone buzzed. A text from my friend Patricia, an employment lawyer I had known since college. I heard what happened. Can you meet? I'll help pro bono if needed. 40 minutes later, I was in Patricia's office, a small space in a building near Pike Place Market. She reviewed every document I had while I sat across from her. Numb. You have a case, Patricia said finally. But they're going to bury you in paperwork. Discovery requests, depositions, motions. Do you have proof of everything you're claiming? Most of it, I said. But it's all on my work, computer, and email. They locked me out. Patricia frowned. Then I remembered. Wait. I used to forward important emails to my personal account. Just in case. Let me check. I pulled up my personal email on my phone and started searching. Westfield. Jonathan. Marketing Summit. Most of the key documentation was there. I had been doing it for years, without even thinking about it. This helps, Patricia said. But Nicole, you need to prepare yourself. They're going to come after you hard. Amanda sounds vindictive. Expect them to attack your character, your credibility. Maybe even try to manufacture criminal charges if they can. Criminal charges? My voice came out as a whisper. For what? They'll find something, Patricia said. Desperate companies do desperate things. 2 days after the board meeting, I woke up to find my LinkedIn profile had been suspended. Someone had reported me for impersonation and fraudulent credentials. My entire professional network, gone overnight. My personal email inbox was flooded with formal letters from Thompson's law firm. They were accusing me of theft of trade secrets, using company equipment for personal business, falsifying expense reports over the past 2 years, and sexual harassment of a junior employee. Sexual harassment. I read that line 5 times before it sank in. The complaint listed Brandon Phillips as the victim. Brandon, one of my former direct reports. A 26-year-old analyst, who I had mentored for 2 years. The HR document attached to the letter had his signature on it, describing incidents that never happened. I called Brandon immediately. He answered on the 3rd ring. Nicole? Brandon, what is this harassment complaint? I don't know what you're talking about, he said, sounding genuinely confused. I never filed a complaint against you. There's an HR document with your signature. That's impossible. I never signed anything like that. Someone had forged it. Amanda, probably. Or someone working for her. Brandon, I need you to say that officially, to a lawyer. Can you? Nicole, I still work there. I can't get involved. I'm sorry. He hung up. By noon, an anonymous post appeared on a local business forum. Former Thompson exec fired for ethics violations tried to steal clients. The post included enough details that anyone in the Seattle business community would know it was about me. My professional reputation was being destroyed in real time. Former colleagues stopped returning my calls. Recruiters who had reached out to me in the past suddenly went silent when I tried to follow up. I checked my bank account and found that my final paycheck was $32,000 short. Thompson had withheld my last commission payment, claiming I was not entitled to it due to cause termination. That money was supposed to cover next month's rent and my mother's assisted living payment. Without it, I could not pay either. I met with Patricia again. She reviewed the sexual harassment allegation with a grim expression. This is serious, she said. Even if it's false, you need to respond formally. They could report this to the state licensing board. Make it public. Your career could be over, even if you're innocent. How much will it cost to defend against all of this? Minimum $50,000. Maybe more. I did not have $50,000. Patricia offered a payment plan, but it would put me in debt for years. That afternoon, I got an email from Jonathan Westfield. Nicole, I've been informed of some concerning allegations about your departure. Our legal team needs to investigate before proceeding with any contract modifications. All Westfield projects are on hold pending resolution. My leverage was disappearing. If Westfield pulled back, I had nothing. At 6 that evening, someone knocked on my apartment door. I looked through the peephole and saw 2 people I did not recognize. A woman and a man, both in plain clothes. I opened the door with the chain still on. Nicole Williams? The woman asked. She held up a badge. I'm Detective Sarah Morrison. This is Detective James Park. We need to ask you some questions about missing company property. My hands went numb. What property? Thompson and Associates filed a theft complaint. They're claiming you stole a company laptop worth $3,000 and a proprietary client database worth millions. May we come in? I let them in because I was too scared to refuse. They searched my apartment while I stood in the corner of my living room, watching. They looked through my closet, my desk, my kitchen cabinets. They did not find a laptop because I had never taken one. We'll need you to come to the station for a formal statement tomorrow, Detective Morrison said as they left. After they were gone, I sat on my couch and could not move. Everything was falling apart faster than I could process. Criminal investigation. Sexual harassment allegations. No money. No job. No way forward. My mother called that night. Honey, the facility called about next month's payment. Is everything okay? I lied. I told her everything was fine, that I was just dealing with some paperwork issues at work. I could not tell her the truth. Her health was fragile. The stress could kill her. I could not sleep. At 1:30 in the morning, I was going through my personal email archives again, looking for anything I might have missed, when I found an old email chain from 9 months ago. I had been CC'd on a conversation between Gerald Thompson and Amanda. Subject line: Westfield Strategy. I opened it. Started reading. My heart started pounding. The email discussed inflating project costs to Westfield. Billing for work that was never performed. It was fraud. Clear, documented fraud. I had completely forgotten about this email. I had not been directly involved in billing, so I had not paid attention to it at the time. But now I had evidence of criminal fraud against their biggest client. This was my nuclear option. If I revealed this, Thompson and Associates could face criminal charges. Westfield would definitely terminate their contract, but Gerald and Amanda would be destroyed. It was mutually assured destruction. Before I could decide what to do with it, my phone rang at 7 in the morning. Robert Hayes, Westfield's lawyer. Miss Williams, I'm calling to inform you that Westfield Corporation has decided to withdraw our contract termination threat. Thompson and Associates has provided satisfactory assurances. Your involvement is no longer required. Please do not contact anyone at Westfield going forward. What assurances? I asked, my voice barely working. That's confidential. Have a good day. He hung up. I sat there holding my phone, staring at nothing. Thompson had somehow convinced Westfield to stay. My leverage was gone. I had lost. The police interview happened the next morning. I sat in a small room at the precinct downtown. Detective Morrison across from me with a notepad and a recording device. Tell me about the day you were terminated, she said. I walked through everything. The termination at 3 in the afternoon. Security escorting me out. The cardboard box with my personal items. My desk photos. A coffee mug. Some books. A cardigan sweater. We have security footage of you leaving with 2 boxes, Detective Morrison said. What was in the second one? Files, I said. Personal files I had kept in my desk. Tax documents. My college diploma. Things like that. No laptop? No. I surrendered my company laptop to the IT department before I left. We'll need to examine the items you took, she said. Can you bring them to the station? I agreed, because I had no choice. The interview lasted 2 hours. By the end, I felt like a criminal, even though I had done nothing wrong. 3 days later, Patricia called me. We have a problem. The forensic examiner found Thompson's proprietary client database on your personal laptop. That's impossible, I said. I never downloaded that. It's dated 2 days before your termination. Full client contact list. Financial records. Project details. Someone had planted it. Amanda had access to my office. I used to leave my personal laptop there to charge while I was in meetings. She could have accessed it remotely or physically, but I could not prove it. 2 weeks after that, the formal charges came. The prosecutor's office filed 3 counts: theft of trade secrets, computer fraud, and grand theft for the laptop. My bail hearing was set for the following Monday. I had to borrow money from my sister Jennifer to make bail. $50,000. I put up my car as collateral. Jennifer lived in Portland, 4 hours south. She drove up to help me. You need to come stay with me, Jennifer said. Get out of Seattle. Clear your head. I can't leave. I have to fight this. Nicole, you're falling apart. When's the last time you slept? When's the last time you ate? I could not remember. The local business journal ran a story. Former marketing executive charged with corporate espionage. My name was in the headline. My photo was included. My mother saw it. She called me crying. "What's happening?" she asked. "They're saying you're a criminal." I tried to explain, but how do you explain something like this to your 78-year-old mother who has a weak heart? She did not understand corporate warfare. She did not understand how Amanda could be doing this. My savings were gone. Between bail and lawyer fees, I had nothing left. I was 2 months behind on rent. My landlord served an eviction notice. Jennifer offered to let me move in with her. But that felt like surrender. I met my former assistant Sarah for coffee. She seemed sympathetic at first. Asked how I was doing. Said she felt terrible about everything. Then she dropped the news. "Amanda offered me your old position," Sarah said. "Vice President of Client Relations. Double my salary." I took it. I just stared at her. "Nicole, you know I didn't do what they're accusing me of," I finally said. "I can't afford to believe you," Sarah said. "I have 2 kids. I need this job. I'm sorry." She left. I sat alone in that coffee shop for an hour, crying into cold coffee while strangers pretended not to notice. Thompson's lawyers sent a settlement offer. Drop all criminal charges. Pay me $25,000. In exchange, full release of all claims. NDA. Non-compete for 5 years. And a written admission that I had engaged in misconduct. Patricia laid it out for me. It's insulting, but it makes the criminal case go away. You need to seriously consider it. I had 72 hours to decide. Admit to something I did not do, or risk a trial where I could end up with a criminal record. At hour 60 of that deadline, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Miss Williams?" "My name is Diane Cooper. I'm a private investigator. I was hired by Thompson and Associates 3 weeks ago to investigate you, to find anything they could use. I quit the case yesterday. What they're doing is illegal. I have evidence. Can we meet?" "Why are you helping me?" I asked. "Because I have daughters," Diane said. "What Amanda Thompson is doing to you is evil. I can't be part of it." We met at a diner on the outskirts of the city. Diane was in her 50s. Gray hair. Tired eyes. She slid a manila envelope across the table. Inside were photos of Amanda entering my office after hours, pulled from building security footage. Bank records showing Thompson paid a computer forensics tech $20,000 in cash. Text messages between Amanda and the tech discussing planting files. An audio recording of Amanda telling her father, "We'll bury her. I don't care if she's innocent. This proves they framed you," Diane said. "Can we use this in court?" That's the problem. I obtained some of this illegally. It might not be admissible, and using it could expose me to criminal charges. My lawyer says I could go to jail. I sat back in the booth. An impossible choice. Use the evidence and potentially destroy Diane's life, or reject the settlement and go to trial with no guarantee of winning. I had 12 hours left on the settlement deadline. At 11 that night, my phone rang again. Jonathan Westfield. "Nicole, I'm calling on a personal line. Off the record. Thompson lied to us. They told us you were under investigation for embezzlement. We paused our contract termination based on that. But I just learned the charges are about a laptop. Why did they lie?" My mind raced. This was my chance. "Jonathan, can I send you an email?" "Personal email. There's something you need to see." "What is it?" "Proof that Thompson has been defrauding you for 9 months. I sent Jonathan the email chain at 11:30 that night. The one showing Gerald and Amanda discussing inflated billing. I included my own analysis, showing approximately $12 million in fraudulent charges over 9 months. Line by line. Project by project. Jonathan responded in 18 minutes. I need to bring this to our board immediately. Can you be available for a call tomorrow morning? Yes, I typed back. But Thompson will claim I fabricated this. They'll say I'm desperate. Our IT team can verify email authenticity. If this is real, we're terminating immediately and pursuing legal action. I did not sign Thompson's settlement. The deadline passed at midnight. Patricia called at 12. Oh, 3. Are you sure about this? I'm not admitting to something I didn't do. If I go down, I go down fighting. Okay, Patricia said. Then we use Diane's evidence and deal with the consequences. The next morning, Westfield's board held an emergency meeting. By 9, they issued a formal termination of their contract with Thompson and Associates. By 9:15, they filed a lawsuit for fraud, breach of contract, and sought return of $12 million plus punitive damages. The news hit the business press by 9:30. Thompson and Associates was a publicly traded company. Their stock dropped 23% in the first hour of trading. Gerald Thompson's phone started ringing and did not stop. At 10, I got a call from Lawrence Flynn, Thompson's lawyer. Miss Williams, we need to meet. Today. Now. I'm not coming to your office, I said. Fine. We'll come to you. They met me at Patricia's law office. Gerald, Amanda, and Lawrence walked in looking like they had not slept. Gerald tried to play it calm. Nicole, this has gotten out of hand. Let's talk like adults. You charged me with felonies, I said. You tried to destroy my life. Amanda leaned forward. You leaked confidential information to our client. That's illegal. I revealed your fraud, I said. There's a difference. Lawrence put a document on the table. We're prepared to drop all criminal charges immediately. We'll make a public statement clearing your name. We'll pay you $250,000. We just need you to sign a joint statement saying the Westfield fraud allegations were a misunderstanding. You want me to help you cover up fraud? There was no fraud, Gerald said. Those were legitimate billing discrepancies. Mistakes, not crimes. Patricia spoke up. Here's our counteroffer. Drop all charges. Public apology. $500,000 in damages. Letter of recommendation. And you don't contest Nicole's right to contract independently with Westfield going forward. Amanda actually laughed. You're insane. We'll never agree to that. The meeting ended with no agreement. Both sides walked away. Over the next 2 weeks, the prosecutor's office started wavering. Kevin Hartley, the assistant DA handling my case, offered a plea deal. Nicole pleads to misdemeanor computer trespass. No jail time. $5,000 fine. It's not perfect, Patricia said, but it ends the criminal case. I'm not pleading guilty to anything, I said. 1 week before trial, everything changed. News broke that Thompson and Associates' board of directors had voted to remove Gerald Thompson as CEO. The Westfield fraud investigation had revealed deeper problems. The SEC had opened its own investigation. 2 board members, Helen and Craig, issued a public statement. We were unaware of management's actions and do not support the treatment of Miss Williams. Gerald was out. Amanda was placed on administrative leave. Dorothy, one of the board members, became interim CEO. Dorothy called me directly. Miss Williams, I want to clean up this mess. What do you want? I listed my demands. All criminal charges dropped. All civil claims withdrawn. Public statement clearing my name. Reinstatement as senior vice president with a 3-year guaranteed contract. $500,000 signing bonus as damages. Company pays all my legal fees, which had now reached $87,000. And Amanda Thompson must issue a personal apology. Everything except Amanda's apology, Dorothy said. I can't force her to do that, but I'll agree to everything else. I was about to accept when Patricia stopped me. There was a clause buried in the contract. Employee agrees to waive any claims arising from previous employment disputes. It would prevent me from ever suing Thompson again, even if I discovered more wrongdoing later. This isn't fair, Patricia said. They're trying to protect themselves. I tried to negotiate it out. Dorothy refused. It's our one condition. Otherwise, no deal. I had 48 hours to decide. Take the deal with the waiver, or go to trial. While I was weighing my options, Amanda leaked my personal information online. My home address, phone number, partial social security number. She posted on social media. This woman is trying to destroy a family business with lies. I started getting threatening messages. Someone showed up at Jennifer's house in Portland looking for me. I got a restraining order against Amanda, but the damage was done. My mother had a heart episode. Stress-induced. She was hospitalized. The doctor told Jennifer and me that Mom needed to avoid stress completely. Jennifer grabbed my arm in the hospital waiting room. You need to end this. Mom can't take it. Sign whatever they want. Please. I sat in that waiting room holding the settlement papers, everything in me wanting to just sign and make it all go away. Then my phone buzzed. An email from Diane Cooper. Nicole, I found something else. You need to see this before you sign anything. Attached were financial records. Amanda Thompson had been embezzling from the company for 2 years. Shell companies. Offshore accounts. Over $4 million. Gerald probably did not even know. I called Patricia from the hospital. If I expose this, Amanda goes to prison. Gerald might too. It's leverage, Patricia said. The board would want to know, or I could sign the settlement and walk away. Let it be their problem. That's the easier path. But is it the right one? I thought about all the employees at Thompson and Associates. Hundreds of people who had nothing to do with this. If Amanda's embezzlement came out, the company could collapse. People would lose their jobs. But if I stayed silent, Amanda got away with it. I requested a meeting with Dorothy and the board. The next morning, I sat across from them in the same conference room, where I had been humiliated weeks earlier. I presented the embezzlement evidence. Dorothy's face went white. Craig dropped his pen. Helen covered her mouth. How long have you known about this? Dorothy asked. I just found out, I said. We need to call the police immediately, Craig said. This will destroy the company, Helen said. Our stock is already down. If this gets out, we have a fiduciary duty to report this, Dorothy said. Before they could act, Amanda showed up. Someone must have tipped her off. She burst into the conference room, frantic and disheveled. You can't prove any of that. Those records are fake. Nicole fabricated them just like she fabricated the Westfield fraud. Amanda, you should have a lawyer present, Dorothy said calmly. I don't need a lawyer. My father built this company. You're all letting this nobody destroy us. Amanda pointed at me. If you do this, I'll make sure everyone knows what a vindictive liar you are. I'll spend every penny I have destroying you in court. Security escorted her out. After Amanda left, Dorothy asked to speak with me privately. We moved to a smaller office down the hall. Here's what I can offer, Dorothy said. We'll handle Amanda internally, force her resignation, require repayment, but no criminal charges. That keeps it quiet and protects the company. In exchange, we'll give you everything you asked for plus another $250,000. Total of $750,000. Your job back. Public apology. Everything. But you have to agree to keep the embezzlement quiet. You want me to help cover up a crime? I want to protect 700 employees from losing their jobs. Amanda will face consequences. Just not public ones. My phone rang. Jennifer. Mom's stable. Doctor says she can come home tomorrow. Please tell me this is almost over. Patricia called next. Nicole, this isn't your responsibility. Take the deal. Let them handle Amanda however they want. Then Diane called. Don't let them sweep this under the rug. People like Amanda only stop when they face real consequences. Finally, Jonathan Westfield called. Nicole, whatever you decide about Thompson, Westfield wants to hire you directly. $300,000 a year. Consulting director. You don't need Thompson anymore. I sat alone in that office. Everyone pulling me in different directions, and I did not know what to do. While I was trying to decide, FBI agents arrived at Thompson and Associates with warrants. Someone had tipped them off about the embezzlement. They seized financial records. They interviewed employees. They arrested Amanda that afternoon. Dorothy called me. Did you go to the FBI? No, I said honestly. I was still deciding. Later, I found out it was Gerald. From his home in Arizona, where he had fled after being removed as CEO, he called the FBI himself. He threw Amanda under the bus to save himself. He claimed he knew nothing about her embezzlement. He positioned himself as a victim. Within 48 hours, Amanda was formally charged with wire fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering. Gerald was questioned but not charged yet. Thompson and Associates stock crashed, down 68%. 3 major clients terminated their contracts. The company announced potential bankruptcy. Employees started leaving in waves. I watched the news coverage from Jennifer's couch in Portland. I saw interviews with laid-off Thompson employees. A single mother named Tracy, crying on camera. I don't know how I'll pay my mortgage. I felt responsible. Even though I had not caused this. Amanda had. But I felt like I had destroyed people's lives. I could not sleep. I could not eat. I questioned everything. At 2 a.m, my phone rang. Blocked number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Are you happy now? It was Amanda. From jail. You destroyed my life. My father won't even talk to me. I'm going to prison. And for what? Because you couldn't handle being fired? You're pathetic. I didn't do this to you, I said quietly. You did it to yourself. Everyone at Thompson hates you. They know you're the reason they lost their jobs. You're going to have to live with that. She hung up. I sat in the dark and cried. The next morning, I told Patricia I could not take Westfield's job offer. I can't take any of Thompson's money. It's all tainted. People are suffering. Nicole, you were the victim here, but I made choices that escalated everything. I could have walked away and let them frame you for crimes you didn't commit. That afternoon, something unexpected arrived. A letter. It was signed by 93 Thompson and Associates employees, including people I had never even met. The letter thanked me. For years, we watched Amanda Thompson abuse her power. She harassed employees, took credit for others' work, created a toxic environment. We were too afraid to speak up. You stood up to her. Yes, some of us lost our jobs, but the company was rotting from the inside. Sometimes things need to fall apart to be rebuilt properly. Thank you. One signature stood out. Sarah, my former assistant who had betrayed me. There was a handwritten note. I'm sorry. I was wrong. You deserved better. I read that letter 5 times, and slowly, something inside me started to heal. Maybe I had not been wrong to fight. Maybe the consequences were not my fault. Maybe Amanda's crimes would have destroyed the company eventually anyway. Maybe I just accelerated the inevitable. And maybe I helped prevent future victims. 6 months later, I stood in my new office at Westfield Corporation. Corner office. 23rd floor. Windows overlooking Puget Sound. Director of Client Strategy. $300,000 a year, plus bonuses. The criminal charges against me had been dismissed entirely. My record was clear. Thompson and Associates had paid the $750,000 settlement. I paid off every legal fee, every debt. I paid off my student loans. All of them. After 11 years of monthly payments, they were finally gone. I set up a trust fund for my mother's assisted living care. She would never have to worry about money again. I bought a small house in a quiet neighborhood in West Seattle. 2 bedrooms. A yard. The first home I had ever owned. I started seeing a therapist twice a week to process everything that had happened. The trauma, the fear, the anger. It helped. Slowly, I learned how to sleep again, how to eat again, how to exist without waiting for the next disaster. I reconnected with old friends. I started going to yoga classes. I even went on a few dates, nothing serious, but it felt good to remember I was a person outside of work. I also started volunteering at a legal aid clinic downtown, helping other people who faced employment discrimination, people who had been fired unfairly, people who were being harassed by former employers. I could not help everyone, but I could help some, and that mattered. Amanda pleaded guilty to embezzlement and fraud. She was sentenced to 4 years in federal prison. She had to repay $4.2 million. Her professional reputation was destroyed. Her father, Gerald, cut off all contact with her. She was completely alone. I did not feel good about that. I felt sad. Sad that someone could throw away everything because they could not control their own worst impulses. Gerald was never criminally charged. The FBI could not prove he knew about Amanda's crimes, but his reputation was ruined. He moved to Arizona and lived quietly. I heard from mutual contacts that some people in the business community believed he must have known, while others thought he was genuinely blindsided. One day, a letter arrived at my new office. The return address was Gerald's home in Scottsdale. Inside was a handwritten note. Nicole, I'm sorry for what my daughter put you through. I failed as a father and as a CEO. I should have stopped her. I should have protected you. I hope you can find peace. I never responded. I did not owe him anything, but I kept the letter. Thompson and Associates went through bankruptcy restructuring. A new ownership group bought the assets and rebranded as Summit Consulting Group. They rehired about half the original employees. Dorothy stayed on as CEO. The company was smaller now, but healthier. The toxic culture was gone. At Westfield, I thrived. In 6 months, I brought in $80 million in new business. I was promoted to Vice President of Strategic Partnerships. Jonathan Westfield became my mentor. For the first time in my career, I felt valued, respected, safe. One morning, I was getting coffee at a shop near my office when I ran into Sarah, my former assistant. It was awkward at first. We both froze. I'm working at Summit now, Sarah said. It's so different without Amanda. People actually smile. How are you? I'm good, I said. And I meant it. Really good. I'm glad. And Nicole, I'm sorry. I should have had your back. You had kids to feed. I understand. We did not become friends again. But we made peace. Sometimes that's enough. Diane Cooper, the private investigator who risked everything to help me, lost her license because of how she obtained some of the evidence. But she found a new path. She started teaching criminal justice at a community college. We met for coffee every few months. She became one of my closest friends. My mother made a full recovery. She's in a better assisted living facility now, one with a garden and art classes. I visit every Sunday. We're closer than we've ever been. You stood up for yourself, she told me once. That takes courage. Looking back on everything, I learned something important. For years, I thought success meant working harder than everyone else, never making waves, always being agreeable. I thought if I just did my job well enough, I would be rewarded fairly. But that's not how the world works. Sometimes doing the right thing means risking everything. Sometimes standing up for yourself means watching everything fall apart before it can be rebuilt. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is refuse to be silent when powerful people want you to disappear. I learned that toxic people don't stop until someone stops them. Amanda would have kept hurting people if someone had not said enough. Yes, there were consequences. Yes, people lost jobs, but that company was built on a rotten foundation. It needed to fall. I also learned that asking for help is not weakness. Patricia, Diane, Jonathan, even those 93 employees who signed that letter, they all helped me when I was at my lowest. I could not have won this alone. And that's okay. We're not meant to fight every battle solo. The hardest lesson? Justice does not always feel like victory. I thought winning would feel triumphant, like the end of a movie. Instead, it felt complicated, messy, real. Amanda is in prison, but I don't feel good about that. I feel resolved, like a wound that finally healed. Even though the scar will always be there, if I could tell my past self anything, it would be this. Your worth is not determined by how much you're willing to endure. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away, and sometimes the bravest thing is to stay and fight. I don't know if I made all the right choices, but I made my choices. I lived with the consequences, and I'm still here, stronger, wiser, free. Today, I'm sitting in my office looking out at the Seattle skyline. My phone buzzes. A text from Jonathan. Great presentation today. Drinks with the team at 6 to celebrate? I smile and type back. I'll be there. I close my laptop. For the first time in years, I feel at peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because I know I can handle whatever comes next. I fought for myself. And I won. Not just the legal battle, but something more important. I won myself back. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to stand up to someone in power, even when it felt impossible? Have you ever been in a situation where doing the right thing meant risking everything? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's going through something similar. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. We share stories about real people facing real challenges and finding their way through. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss future stories. And please, share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Someone who's fighting their own battle. Someone who needs to know they're not alone. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that you're stronger than you think, and that standing up for yourself is always worth it. Even when the path is hard, take care of yourselves. And remember, you deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, no matter where you work or who you're dealing with. Never let anyone make you forget that.